Okay, here we go. I'm just saying hi to people in the chat. Good to see all of you there. I think I'm a minute early. I've jumped the gun. I've started the live stream earlier than expected by about 37 seconds. Just making sure everything is working properly, and then we will get this English lesson started. There we go. Just saying hello to a few last people in the chat. And then I will maneuver these headphones out of the way, and we will get this lesson started. Let me just make sure everything's right. There we go. Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson about attachments, doodads, and add-ons. Doodads is kind of a funny word, but I'll explain its meaning later. This is kind of a miscellaneous lesson about all of the little things that you can get when you buy something or have something. Sometimes there's attachments or accessories or doodads or add-ons or extensions or expansions, upgrades, bonuses, features, a whole bunch of different words. Actually, not too many. I'm saying a whole bunch, but I think there's only about 22 words in this lesson. I purposefully designed this lesson to be a bit shorter because I do have to get going towards the end of this lesson. So welcome to this English lesson about attachments, doodads, and add-ons. I think you will enjoy it. I think it will be a fun lesson, and I guarantee you'll learn at least one new word, if not many, many more. Well, hey, how's everybody doing? I hope really well. Hello to Brent, Freddie Wolf, Ismail, Torahiki, MD, Mishba, Munj, Bikim, Unabi, Uliana. Let me scroll back here and see who else is here. Unsel, Freddie, English with Carolyn, Etienne, Fabian, Juan, Nunez, William, Usher. Wonder if he's related to the singer Usher. Who knows? Anyways, welcome to this English lesson. Before I get too off track, let me explain how things go. Oh, hi to Cecilia as well. Here's how things work. I'm going to teach for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to take a break and answer questions for about 5 or 10 minutes. Then I'm going to teach again for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to answer questions. If you have a question, there is a link at the very top of the description below. Please use that link to ask your question. And also Nightbot in the chat shares the link. If you use the form, I will answer your question. If you ask a question in the chat, I will not get to it. If you're a member, you can ask questions wherever you want. I do keep my eye out for those. But that is how it works. Although MD Mizbah says, how did you become so good at English? Well, I became good at English because I'm a native speaker, but maybe you're asking someone else that question. Who knows? If you're asking if I'm good at teaching English, I think that's simply from experience. I'm an actual teacher, and I have been for a very long time. So what do we do here? I think I get started now, right? Is that the next thing that I do? Let's do that. Attachment. Something that is connected to another object to give it a new use or function. The best example I could come up with for attachment was a vacuum cleaner. So a vacuum cleaner has a number of attachments that you can put on the end. I think there's a smaller attachment for vacuuming your couch or sofa. Or I think you can even use that in the car if you want to vacuum out your car. There's like a long, narrow attachment for getting into crevices and narrow spaces. Crevice might be a new word for you. A crevice is like a little slot between the couch cushion and the edge. There's a crevice. But an attachment is something that is connected to another object to give it a new use or function. So sometimes with our vacuum cleaner, people don't put the attachments back on the vacuum cleaner. They all have a spot. So you might say, has anyone seen the small attachment for the vacuum cleaner? Has anyone seen the large attachment? So again, attachments, they make something better. Add-on, an extra item or feature that can be added to something. So one of the probably most common add-ons would be an ad blocker. If you are using Chrome as your browser, you can get another piece of software called an add-on that allows Chrome to block advertisements. So an add-on can be a piece of software. I think in life too. I'm trying to think of an example of something else that has an add-on. I think you might have like a kitchen appliance, and it might have, let's say you have a machine that is a blender, but you can buy an add-on that makes it also a juicer. So it just extracts the juice. We would call that an add-on. But I think the browser, the Chrome browser or the Edge browser or Firefox is designed to allow you to browse the internet, but you can add a piece of software called an add-on that also allows it to block advertisements. So an add-on, an extra item or feature that can be added to something. Doodad, you're probably anxiously waiting for me to explain this one. A doodad is a small object or gadget whose name you do not know or cannot remember. So let's say I didn't have my Fitbit on. Someone at work could say, hey, where's that doodad that you normally wear on your wrist? Or my daughter has a little thing that she uses to make tea. So I could say to her, you know, she puts the loose tea leaves in. I could say, where's that doodad that you use to make tea? So it's kind of a funny term and a general term for something you don't know the name of. I put a picture of a junk drawer because there's lots of doodads in here. There's probably a lot of things in here where I would just say, what's this doodad? And then hold it up. Of course, I can name some of them, but there are some, like, what's the red thing at the bottom? I would just call that a doodad because I don't know the actual name. So doodad, a small object or gadget whose name you do not know or cannot remember. I'm trying to see if there's any doodads on my desk. Oh, this is the little doodad that I put on the microphone when I'm outside. It's called a wind muff, or I think it has another name, wind protector, but I might just call it a doodad. Accessory, an item that is used with something else to make it more useful or attractive. Probably the most common accessory would be a phone case. You might also put one of those little knobs on the back of your phone that allows you to hold it better. Why can't I remember the name of it? Pop socket. So it's a little thing. It's an accessory for your phone. When you buy a computer, you can buy some accessories for your computer, like a case for your computer. Some people buy a little piece of plastic that covers the webcam so that people can't hack their computer and see through their camera. We would call all of those things accessories. So an accessory is an extra item that is used with something else to make it more useful or attractive. Extension, something that makes another object longer or increases the reach. For our one vacuum cleaner, we actually have an extension to make the hose longer. For my socket set, I have extensions in order to make, like if I'm using the ratchet, like I can use an extension to put the socket further away. You might be familiar with the term extension cord. So that is a specific type of cord that you use when you need electricity far away. So you would plug the extension cord in. But an extension, the word extension is simply a general term for something that makes another object longer or increases its reach. Expansion. I'm not sure if you play board games, but sometimes when you play a board game, you start to get bored of the original game, and maybe you can buy an expansion. You have this with video games as well, where you might be playing the game and there might be an expansion that comes out. So it's something that adds more size, space, or features to an existing thing. And honestly, this is, in my opinion, the best example. If you play Settlers of Catan, is that how you say it? Catan? The Seafarers expansion is a very, very cool thing to buy. It makes the game a little more complex, but it also makes it, in my opinion, more fun. So expansion, something that adds more size, space, or features to an existing item. An upgrade, a newer or better version that improves something. So the best upgrade you can make is if your computer still has a hard disk drive, it's a good idea to put in an SSD, or what is called a solid state drive. The hard disk drive has a platter in it that spins, and then a little arm reads the data or the data. I use both pronunciations, by the way. But the SSD is solid state. There are only computer chips in it, and so it is much faster. So when you upgrade something, you make it newer, you make it better, it improves that thing. If you have an old computer with a hard drive in it, like an old, I call them spinny drives, if you upgrade to an SSD, that computer will be much faster. Hey, let's pause for a second and look at some questions from all of you. Let me just make sure everything is working the way it's supposed to. Awesome. Okay. And let me get to the question form. Let me see here. We're going to skip my intro, my tests. Oh, there's quite a few questions. Oh, sorry. There's 6. That's not too many. Unsel, hi, Mr. Bob. If this were real today, would you rather install a physical attachment or an internal brain module? Thanks. You're awesome. Bye. I don't know what the future is with AI or artificial intelligence. I'm imagining at some point we're going to go back to glasses that have AI built in that you can hear from your ear, and there will be a small display. These aren't those. These are just reading glasses. I know there's already like there's Meta glasses, and there's a few other companies that have made glasses like that. But I think that's going to be the first attachment. What would we call that? We would probably just call it a device that I would add. So if I was to get something, it would be a pair of glasses like that. From Takagero, hello, dear teacher Bob. How many vacuum cleaners do you have? It is usual for Canadians to have a few. So we have 2, and I think that is very, very common. And let me explain why we have 2. We have the vacuum cleaner that we use in our house. That vacuum cleaner is designed for carpet and linoleum and vinyl flooring and wood flooring, and we only use it in our house. We also have what's called a shop vac. A shop vac is a special kind of vacuum cleaner that you can use in your garage to vacuum your car. You can even suck up water. Like if your basement has a leak, you can use it to suck up water as well. So we have 2, and I think that's pretty common. Most North Americans have a vacuum cleaner they use in their house and another vacuum cleaner called a shop vac. If you search shop vac online, you'll see what I mean. I think I talked about a shop vac in a lesson before as well. Okay, next question here. Asham. Hi, Bob, sir. Just want to know, which software do you use for your video editing? I used to use Adobe Premiere Pro, but it started to get a little bit too expensive. I had the educational license because I'm a teacher, but eventually that went from $30 a month to $40 to $60 and then $70. And so I switched to DaVinci Resolve a year and a half ago, and I paid for the full version. It was $400 for the full version of DaVinci Resolve, and then you don't have to keep paying. There's no monthly fee. So that's what I currently use. And Jen uses the same for editing her software because she has the free version on her computer because she doesn't need some of the advanced features. And I do like to pay for software if I'm using it to earn a living. So let's see here. I'm just looking at the chat to say hi to people. Burgit, Key Park, Natalia, Cy Sandy, Freddie Wolf, Brent again. Good to see you. Oh, Mr. Fischeri is here as well. Good to see all of you. Let me get to the next question. Unabi, hi, Mr. Bob. I've heard a lot when people who suddenly forget the name of any small object just call it a bad boy. Is this expression still common in modern English? Yeah, but not in that sense. Like if I had a car and it had lots of horsepower, like a really big engine, I might say this bad boy can go from 0 to 60 in 5 seconds. I think that's fast. I don't know. If I bought a new computer, I could say, oh, I'm so happy with it. This bad boy has an RTX. What's the latest video card? I can't remember. This bad boy has 64 gigabytes of RAM, or this bad boy has a 5 terabyte hard drive. So people use it sometimes to refer to an object that is powerful. Let me think of another example. Like this light that I'm using here was quite expensive. This bad boy puts out 1800 lumens. I don't know if it actually does that, but that's where you would use that term, the term bad boy. I'm trying to think of another example. Like if you had a tractor, you could say, oh, this bad boy even has air conditioning, or this lawnmower, this bad boy mows 60 inches. By the way, I'm not sure if you knew this, but in Canada, we are somewhat weirdly bilingual with measurements. Our lawnmowers come in, like you can have a 21-inch push mower or a 48-inch riding mower. So we use inches. When we build things, we use inches and feet. When we talk about how tall we are, we use inches and feet. When we talk about distance, we use kilometers. When we talk about temperature, I'm actually fluent in Fahrenheit and Celsius. So it's kind of weird. I think because we are right north of our American cousins, we must, and we import and export a lot of things back and forth. The measurements have to be compatible with the United States, but also with other countries in the world. So we use both. But I think that's it for questions. Yes, let's get back to the lesson. Let me have a sip of water here. As I mentioned at the beginning, this lesson will be a little bit shorter, so I might be speeding along if it seems that way, but I think that's okay for this week. Bonus. A bonus is something extra that is given in addition to what was expected. So if I bought a new computer, apparently if I bought this computer, they're going to give me a monitor. I don't have to pay for the monitor. So that's a bonus. Sometimes at market, at the end of market, Jen will have lots of flowers left. And so when people buy some as a bonus, she'll give them a free bouquet. That doesn't happen very often, but it does happen sometimes. You can also use this to describe extra points on a test. Sometimes at school, I'll give a test with 10 questions, but there will be a bonus question at the end. And if the students answer that, they get extra points on their test. So bonus, something extra that is given in addition to what was expected. I should also mention that if you have a job, sometimes your boss will give you a bonus. Your boss will give you extra money just because you're doing a good job. And usually this happens at Christmas. There's something called a Christmas bonus, which is simply a gift or extra money because you did a good job. But bonus, something extra that is given in addition to what was expected. Option, one of the choices that is available. So you can see this car has a sunroof option available for only $1,200. When you are talking about options, it means the other things that that thing can have. When you buy a computer, a long time ago, many things were options. It was an option to have a CD-ROM player. There was an option to have 2 monitors instead of 1. There was an option to have a sound card in the computer. We don't usually say that anymore about computers too much because they come with everything. But when you buy a car, you might choose some options. One of the options might be a sunroof. One of the options might be larger rims, like tires where there's less rubber and a bigger rim, or chrome rims or aluminum rims. That might be an option when you buy a car. I think there are other things where there are options as well. I'm just trying to think. When Jen makes a bouquet for someone, one of the options is that they can ask to have more flowers put in so that it is a bigger bouquet. But option, one of the choices that is available. Feature, a specific function or characteristic of something. This Swiss Army knife has many features. It has a corkscrew for opening wine bottles. It has a bottle opener for opening bottles. It has a knife. It has a saw. If you're stuck in the woods, you can saw through a branch and maybe make a fire. It has a pair of scissors, a screwdriver. That bottle opener is also a screwdriver, a smaller knife. Close to me here, there is, I think that's an awl, like for poking a hole through stuff. And then I don't know what the little hook thing is. Maybe it's just a hook. That's one of the features. But a feature is then a specific function or characteristic of something. So when I talked about options, when you talk about things that have extra things, you can also say feature. They're almost interchangeable. Like the camera I'm using has the option of different lenses. It has the feature of different lenses. I'm trying to think of another example here of something that has options or features. But it's basically describing something and what you can do with it beyond what you can normally do with it. So feature, a specific function or characteristic of something. Module, a separate part that can be added to a larger system. I thought I should probably have, I was going to say landing module, lunar module. I think it goes with, you could use both names, but the part of the rocket that can land on the moon is called a module. This is the lunar module. And so 2 astronauts can go in here and they can land on the moon. It separates from the rocket. So it's a separate part of a larger system, and then it can go and land on the moon. You also sometimes have modules when you're taking an online course. So you might take an online English course and they might say, oh, it has 7 modules. Module 1, improving your reading. Module 2, improving your speaking. And so a module is a separate part of the larger course. So you can have different modules in a course. Plugin, a piece of software that adds new features to another program. So someone asked earlier what software I use. I use DaVinci Resolve, but I do not have any plugins for DaVinci Resolve. There are some plugins that would probably be handy, but I do not have any of them. For instance, you might have a piece of software and it doesn't have AI built into it. And so maybe you're editing a photo and maybe you can buy an AI plugin that helps fill in blank spaces in the photo. So that would be, it's not the main piece of software, but it's a part that gets added to it. You could call it an add-on, but generally I think in this case, I would call it a plugin, a piece of software that adds new features to another program. That guy looks very happy, doesn't he? I hope he doesn't mind that he's in my English lesson. Adapter, a device that allows 2 different things to work or connect together. I don't have my headphones anymore, my earbuds, but in order to use my earbuds with my phone, I needed to use this adapter. It went from USB-C to aux, or to headphone, or I think it's also a 1/8 jack, but this is an adapter. It allows you, like if you have something that won't plug into your computer because the connector, there's no spot for it, you need to go and buy an adapter so that you can do that. The camera I'm using, I actually have an adapter called a cam link that allows me to hook this camera up to my computer. I need to use an adapter for that. And generally, when we talk about adapters, we're talking about electronics, almost always when you talk about an adapter. So a device that allows 2 different things to work or connect together. Spare, an extra item that is kept in case the original is lost or broken. It's not a bad idea to have spare batteries with you when you go camping. When I go outside to make an English lesson, I usually take a spare battery with me so that if the battery in my camera starts to go dead, I can put the spare battery in. We don't always use spare though to talk about batteries. You have a spare tire in your car and we just call it a spare. When we go on trips with students, we take some, we take spare water bottles. We take spare, might bring a spare piece of clothing if you're going camping. But anytime you take something extra, it's not the thing you actually need, but it's the thing you bring with just in case you need it. So spare, an extra item that is kept in case the original is lost or broken. Hey, we're going to go a bit early to members only chat here. I think we're about 8 minutes early, but I hope that's okay with the members who aren't here right now. Let me get that turned on for you, and then we will do members only chat, and I will continue to answer questions from the forum as well. Although there's not a huge amount of questions there. I'll take one on the screen first, then I'll jump over to the chat in just a little bit. Thanks to Brent for gifting some memberships, gifting a membership. So if you are SG Addo, you can now read all of the posts on the members only section of this YouTube channel. Okay, Hasham, what do you think, which doodad disappear when you need it the most? The nail clippers. I can never find the nail clippers in my house. Thankfully, right now, my nails are a normal length. They're getting a little bit long, but that's the doodad that's normally in the bathroom on the counter, and often I can't find it. There's also when I use the blender, the lid of the blender has a little, like the lid has a little doodad. I'm just going to use the word that goes in the middle. And often I can't find that when I want to make a smoothie. That would be the doodad that that is usually missing the most, or that I can't find. Oh yeah, here we go. From Square Block. What's your height, Mr. Bob? I am 5'10.5", which I don't know what that is. See, I have to look this up. In centimeters, I am 178 centimeters tall. 5'10.5". So I'm probably closer. Let me just check for a sec. Yeah, I'm probably 179 or 180. That is my height. So I am considered completely average in almost every way. Okay, I'm average looking. I'm average height. I'm a little over average weight, but I'm working on that. But yeah, most North Americans, I think, are somewhere around. Most men are usually taller than 5'5", somewhere in there. A lot of people I know are over 6 feet tall because I am of Dutch descent. My family came from the Netherlands originally. So a lot of people I know are descended from people from the Netherlands. And the Netherlands has the tallest people in the world, I think. What country has the tallest people? The Netherlands has the tallest people in the world, with men averaging about 183 centimeters and women averaging 170 centimeters. So yes, the Netherlands definitely at the top there, 183.8 centimeters. So 6 feet tall. That's pretty tall. So I'm actually short for someone who whose family originally came from the Netherlands. Okay, next question is from Sandy. If people don't know what the small tool is, could they just say the doodad? Thanks. Yeah. So I could say to Jen, hey, I'm looking, do you know where the doodad is? That little, that little tool that we use to get weeds out of the ground. Where is that doodad? You could totally use that word. And you will sound kind of funny saying doodad, but people will be familiar with it. In fact, I should check frequency of the word doodad. The low frequency informal noun, okay, is classified as an advanced C2 plus vocabulary item typically used in casual speech. Wow, I didn't know it was a C2 word, but there you go, a C2 word. Hey, members, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. I think we're having a pretty low-key live stream this morning. I'm kind of low energy today, and I wonder if that's affecting your energy as well. But hey, if you have a question, pop it in there. I'd be happy to answer it. From Unabi, just another fun fact: the world's atomic bomb, which was developed under the Manhattan Project back in 1945, called it a gadget. Yes, a gadget. So gadget is another general term for like a little device or machine that you can use. Okay, from the chat, Manuel says, from Tenerife, that barely and never have heard about the Canary Island, in particular Tenerife. Manuel here. I've heard of both, actually. In fact, I wouldn't mind going to both. That would be great. Bridget says, our son's height is 190 centimeters, but we are much shorter. I think that means you probably fed your son a healthy diet as he was growing up. But also it is genetic. So possibly in your family, there are taller people. But Cy Sandy says, hi, Bob. How to use the term odds and ends? Thank you. So when I showed the picture of the junk drawer, there were a lot of odds and ends in there. So when there's a lot of different things in one spot, we call them odds and ends. Or here's another example. You might have a room in your house that you don't use, and there's just a bunch of odds and ends in there. So there are things you don't use all the time, and you just keep them there because you don't really need them quite often. So doodads, odds and ends is probably a more general term than doodads. From Running Tiger, I bought a spare power bank to make sure once the power of the building is out, our fridge and Wi-Fi will still work for a period of time. I love power banks. I have 2 of them. Here's a really cool story. Last Sunday, it rained. We got over 3 inches of rain. By the way, we measure rain in inches as well. My sister's power went out, and in her basement, she has what's called a sump pump. so that water, if it goes in her basement, it can get pumped out, and it stopped working. So I brought my power bank to her house, and we used that to run her power or her sump pump until the power came back on. By the way, a sump pump is a pump that goes into water and pumps the water out through a pipe. Mr. Fischieri, do you use the extra features in the DaVinci Resolve paid version? So mostly I got the paid version for two reasons. One, I do like to pay for things that I use regularly, because as I run this YouTube channel, it is a profitable enterprise for me. So I don't want to use a piece of software for free. Okay. That's just my standards as a human being. Number two, though, it has some good tools for cleaning up audio sometimes. I don't use it a lot, but it has come in handy. You can isolate voice. Like if there's music playing, the full version, it's not perfect, but I can isolate the voice and things like that. So yes, I do like having it for those two reasons. Key Park, Prince Harry of the UK wrote a book named Spare. He is a spare of his brother, Prince William. Yeah, that's a good example of the word spare. He's definitely a spare, although he has kind of left the royal family now, so I'm not sure if he's still a spare. Mr. Fischieri says, that's tall. Yes. Freddie Wolf, Bob, thanks for everything. The best height is when the foot are reaching the floor. Can I use doodad like un truc? Yeah, un truc would be exactly how I would use it. Like in English, we also have the word like a thingy, a doodad, etc. Yes. A machine, I'm not familiar with, so I can't comment. Wanda, hi, Teacher Bob. Can I use the words feature and characteristic interchangeably? If yes, is there any specific difference? Could you please give an example? Thanks a lot. So one of the features of the car is it gets good gas mileage. One of the characteristics of these cars is that they get good gas mileage. So I would say a feature, and you would most likely use feature. One of the characteristics of the library, characteristics it's too formal. One of the features of the library is that you can also check out movies. One of the characteristics, I think characteristic is used more to describe how something looks. Like one of the characteristics of the library is it has arches. It's designed with arches on the way in. So yeah, I would say characteristics are more visual things, whereas features don't have to be. Manuel, Prince Harry wrote, it's the joke day. I was written surely by, as the majority of the, I don't know. I don't want to read this comment because I'm not sure exactly what Manuel is saying there. From Cy Sandy. Thank you very much for answering my two questions. No problem. Ismail, hope you're doing well, Bob. I had a quick question about your cable tower. Did you happen to get any extra attachments for it, like a single D handle or anything else? I did not. It also has not arrived yet. So I have emailed them twice and they said it will ship soon. So hopefully it ships soon. I have to admit, Jen is more excited about it than I am. I am very excited about it, but Jen is like next level excited about it. So thank you very much for that. We decided in order to just stay within the price range to just order it. So if we need attachments later, we will get some. But yes, attachments, great word. It's the first word here. Freddie Wolf, Bob, machine et truc are synonyms. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much. Okay. From Sarah. Wait, wrong. I don't understand. What did you do in this live? What did I do in this live? What am I doing in this live? I am teaching, I think, 21 English words or like the little extra things you attach to other things or how to describe features. It's kind of a weird topic, but they are very common words. From Azad, hi Bob, how are you doing? I am doing great. Thank you for asking. I am looking forward to the rest of this day. From Sarah, what is your job? I am a high school teacher. I work part-time. I teach French and I also teach computer science and sometimes I teach business. So I do that part-time. This coming year, I'm there about 75%. And then I spend the rest of my time doing YouTube. Mr. Fischieri, no, that's not here. What's your plan for this weekend? How was your Canada Civic Day? Haha. What's my, oh, you're asking no, that's question. It was a nice day. We actually did some shopping. Stores were open. Not back to school shopping yet, although that's getting close. And I also just enjoyed the day hanging out with my wife and kids. It was really nice. Ismail says, thanks for the answer, Bob. No problem. Okay. From Cecilia, where are we at here? We should probably jump back to the lesson soon. Hi, Bob. Do you have a spare charger for your phone? Thanks. So the beauty of USB-C, there we go, is that everything's a charger now. So I actually have a little cradle by my desk. So I set my phone in it and it charges wirelessly. And then over to my right, we have a little charging station with 6 cables for our microphones, our cameras, our phones, etc. So, but when I go on a trip, I take my spare charger. So great use of the word spare. Okay, let me turn off members only chat for a second here. Go back to subscriber mode. Let me make sure everything is working great. Awesome. And let's get back to the lesson. I'll finish off the lesson and then I'll answer any more questions that come in on the form. Refill, a replacement supply that is used to fill something again. If you have an inkjet printer, you might be able to buy a refill. You might have a bottle and you can refill the ink. If you have soap in your house, if you have one of these little squirty soap bottles, you might have a refill. You might buy a refill for it, a larger bottle full of liquid soap that you can put in the smaller container. So a refill, a replacement supply that is used to fill something again. By the way, that's a great way to save money, is to just buy the refill. Don't buy the little soap every time. Sleeve, a protective covering that slides over an object. If you have a phone, we generally buy a phone case, but if you have a tablet, you might buy a sleeve. So a sleeve is like a leather or plastic or cloth thing with an opening at one end, and it's just big enough for something to slide into it. So a sleeve, a protective covering that slides over an object. Cover, something that goes over another object to protect it or keep it clean. Now you might be wondering, why is this a sleeve and this is a cover? This is a sleeve because it slides in. So it's like the sleeve of your shirt. It's a sleeve for your laptop. It's a sleeve for your iPad or tablet. A cover is something that goes over something. So if you have a really nice, like antique or classic car, you might have a cover that you put over it when you're not driving it. If you have a barbecue, you probably have a cover that you put over it to protect it from the wind and rain and hail. So cover, something that goes over another object to protect it or keep it clean. Carrying case, a pouch, bag, box, or container that is designed to protect and transport an item. Jen and I, whenever we buy a camera, when we bought our drone, when we buy other things, we usually buy a carrying case to go with it. It's nice to have a carrying case for 2 reasons. 1, it protects the item, and 2, it's a great place to store it so you know where it is. If you don't have a carrying case, you might leave the camera and the little mounting things and the extra batteries and you might leave them all over the place. So it's nice to have a carrying case, a pouch, bag, box, or container that is designed to protect and transport an item. So I have my carrying case. Sorry, this is my carrying case. This is just to keep stuff from rolling around. And then inside you'll see I have the batteries, the microphone, and then I've actually broken the law here. The camera's here usually, and there's usually the mounting things right there. So I'll have to look for those later. But carrying case, a pouch, bag, box, or container that is designed to protect and transport an item. Comes with, sold separately, and not included. So we're going to finish with those 3. When it says comes with, it means something is included when you buy or receive an item. Sometimes when you buy a printer, it comes with ink, but it's only enough ink to print 50 pages or 100 pages, but it at least comes with ink. It might actually say comes with a year's supply of ink, or comes with a full container for each color of ink. But when it comes with, it means that you get that thing with it. When you buy something, it might say it comes with batteries, which is nice because usually batteries are sold separately. When something's sold separately, it means that you must buy the item on its own because it is not included. This has changed a little bit, I think, over the last few years. Most things you buy actually have rechargeable batteries now. And so the whole idea of buying batteries, like, I don't know, we don't have very many things anymore that need batteries. Maybe remote controls. So if you buy a remote control, though, it comes with batteries usually. For some reason, remote controls do. But if you buy a toy, it might say batteries sold separately, which means that you must buy the item on its own because it is not included. And then not included. So I've used that phrase a couple times. It means that an item does not come with the product and must be obtained separately. So if you went to buy this flashlight, first of all, if you're going to buy a flashlight, buy a rechargeable flashlight. But if you bought this one down here, it says LED flashlight, batteries not included. So in this situation, if you didn't buy batteries, you would get home and the flashlight wouldn't work until you found some batteries to put in it. Hey, as promised, I said this would be a bit of a shorter lesson. I will spend some time now finishing questions. Mr. Fishieri says, even printers have monthly subscriptions now. And also, I have a cover for my treadmill because it is rarely used. That's a good thing to have a cover for. Okay, let me finish off. I think I have 5 questions left. Oh, 8 questions left. Here we go. From Sarah. I'm a girl from Morocco. I'm 12 years old. Is this live? Will you help me in my speaking? Well, I can't personally help you, but what I can do is make lots of English lessons that you can watch. You can watch these live streams. You can watch my videos, but I would highly suggest if you have a school that you find out if your school has an English club or some other way at school to practice your English. But welcome, Sarah. I hope you're having a good day. Let's see here. NFL is coming. Only a few weeks, Teacher Bob. I do not watch the NFL, but I do hear that it is going to start again soon. Okay, from Running Tiger. Hi, Bob. How to cool your camera when you're doing a live lesson? Because my camera always gets overheated when taking 4K videos. So I shoot in 1080p when I'm doing a live stream. And I have not had any problems with my camera overheating. Even when I'm outside on a hot day, it has been fine. Now I do have the Canon R6, the original, and I know the Canon R5 had more problems with that, with overheating. I know the R6 is a little better, but I have not had that problem. But if I did, yeah, that'd be frustrating. I'm not sure what I would do. What's your habitual saying? How's it going? Hey, how's it going? How's it going? How's it going? Brent says preseason for the NFL started last night, but I watched the Red Sox instead. There you go. Yeah, baseball and the football overlap for a bit. And then eventually the NBA gets started as well in the fall. Unabi says, suddenly when you were speaking about power banks, my electricity went down. What a coincidence. Yeah. So here's a funny story. I put up a few solar panels and I have a few batteries, like a little hobby system to run this room in a power outage. And the power's actually gone out 3 times since I built that. And it has been very handy. Jen was editing on Sunday night and at 9 o'clock, the power went out and she was able to continue editing her video. So that was kind of nice. New says, I'm new in your channel. Just want to know which people do you think are your old student names? I don't think my former students, people who I've taught in person, actually watch these lessons because they're rather boring. Although some of my international students I know do still sometimes watch. But generally, my audience is usually a bit older. People who watch my channel are, I think, age 21 to age 70 or 80. So quite a range. Mr. Fishieri says, get ready to wear earplugs, Bob, when you edit this live stream. The part when the carrying case hits the mic. Yeah, sorry about that. Bonk. Master Abderlin's. Oh, wait. I don't know. Mr. Fishieri, I'm just ready for House of the Dragon season finale this Sunday night. There's a dragon emoji. I didn't know that. Very cool. I should use that at some point. From Sarah, how old are you? I don't give my exact age, Sarah, but I am in my mid-50s. I had my birthday this past summer and I was in my mid-50s and now I'm still in my mid-50s. So, and I've also mentioned a few times that I'm about 10 years away from retirement. So you can kind of do the math. Sarah, do you have children? I have 5 kids, and they're all older now. In a year or two, they'll all be in university or out of the house. Alan, how do you practice French? So I'm actually not very good at practicing French right now, but here's what I used to do, and here's what I will start again in about a week, because I need to teach. In order to teach French, I need to keep my skills top notch. I will start listening to French music all the time when I work out, when I'm in the car. I will start watching at least one French TV show every night. I will start hopefully speaking and having French conversations with my French speaking partner. We do a language exchange, 30 minutes, although honestly, I haven't talked to her for a very long time. I should probably reconnect. And I'll start reading all my news in French. So I usually just start to switch over some of the things I do so that my life is more French-like. Just want to know, will solar panels work in Canada's weather? Yeah, so as long as they're angled correctly. The main problem we have with solar panels in Canada, to my understanding, I'll know more this winter, is that the days are not very long in November, December, January. And also the sun is very low on the horizon. So you want to be able to tilt your panels to face the sun, but you just will not produce as much electricity as you would in the rest of the year. So that's all I know. That's all I know about that. But hey, that's the end of the lesson. 45 minutes. That's about exactly how long I wanted it to be today. A few things before you go. Number one, I will edit this lesson and I will remove all of your questions and make it a straight lesson of 21 words about attachments, doodads, and add-ons. You should, if you like doing it, because repetition is important, you should rewatch it or at least re-listen to it. It will help you remember all of the words that you have learned today. Other than that, nothing to report. There will be a new lesson Tuesday. It's already shot, and in English, we would say in the can. Basically, it's shot, edited, and ready to go for Tuesday. So I know for sure that will happen. And it's about 10 mistakes English learners make when they're learning English. I thought it was a good lesson to make. And I'll be doing a live lesson next week, Friday. I will see you then. Mr. Fishery says, thanks for the lesson, Bob. Have a great Friday and a greater weekend. To Bob and everyone, nice chatting with y'all. See you again next time. Yes, so I'll just say bye to a few people in the chat. As they say bye, I will say bye, and then we will wrap this up. So bye to Mr. Fishery, Unabi, Gabriella, Uliana, Nico, Unabi, Sai Sandy, Natalia, Cecilia, Mr. Fishery. Bye. Mr. Fishery, Dress for Success lesson. That has been bumped a couple weeks. So that probably will be the 3rd week of August. I know you've been waiting for it. I shouldn't tease these lessons. Bye to Christina, Wanda, G. Hansul, Burgett, Freddie Wolf, SG Nadeau, Sai Sandy, Ismail Extreme, and everybody else. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye to Running Tiger. Bye to Rosa. Bye to H Hash and everyone else. You guys are awesome. New lesson Tuesday. Live lesson next Friday. Bye.